I'm on the Metropolitan line, travelling the longest distance between any two stations on the network, from Chalfont and Latimer, the only station in Zone 8, to Chesham in Zone 9, which is both the most north and westernmost station on the network, as well as being the furthest away from London, and is where I'm beginning my walk today.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
This is Chesham, where this train terminates. Please take your belongings with you when you leave the train. All change.
Chesham Station is one of 4 on a network to only have one platform, but it did used to have another, which has been turned into a little garden area here. Should also point out the old water tower too, from the days of steam trains. When you come into the waiting room, you can see just how many garden competitions Chesham have won over the years, as well as old posters and photos as well of the area. It's a charming little station, Chesham. It also has an old signal box and the end of a brilliant walk you can do called the Chess Valley, which begins at Rickmansworth, about 10 miles long. The Chess Valley walk is one I've done before and one I would like to redo, but today's one is taking me across this bridge, which I've stood on before, as it offers a great view down onto Chesham Station itself, and also of the single track line heading back towards London. And I've always been intrigued as to what is over the other side of the bridge, but I've never gone that way, which is what I'm going to be doing today. Whew, well, that's a very steep path to start off with, but it does bring me out into the Chiltern Fields now. Well, I guess I am leaving the Chess Valley behind, so of course it's going to be a steep climb at the very beginning, but you do get some good views up here, looking back down into Chesham that way, and the path ahead. I had a little problem here with an overgrown footpath where the sun never shines, so it never dries up the ground. Luckily though, there was a way out onto the field which I could cross back over onto my public footpath. Wow, what a fantastic view ahead. Heading back down into a valley though, which means I'm going to have to climb up the other side of that field, but that should be okay. Well, what I've learnt from walking east of Chesham is that there's an array of fields that you can take, and it's worth to do so. I'm even on the Chiltern Heritage Trail walking route now, and I've come into my first little settlement since leaving Chesham. This is Botley, though we're just south of it. So today's walk seems to be a mix of fields and woods. This is Calcroft Wood. However, when you're out in the fields, it's very hot in the sun, and when you're in the woods, the ground is very soggy from all the rain, so it's a bit of a lose-lose situation. But it's all good because I can head this way. You know, I don't think I've seen a village sign attached to one of these old beacons before. Ley Hill. There's a common here, which we're going to walk up alongside of, but it is also all a golf course. I've come across a few beacons before, but I've never seen one lit up. That would be good to see. Back out into the fields, got a large set of them heading straight down south here. Not too sure what that is in the distance. It's a bit unexpected. Perhaps a water tower of some kind. It's a weird globe on top of it though. So after a long field path and now a long path along a country road, I'm making it into my next settlement of Flaunden. I think this might be the closest to a village sign I'm going to get. Come across many Green Dragon pubs before, but I don't think I've ever actually come across one that has an actual green dragon. As it's a staple on walks like this, you've got to come and have a look at the village church. It's a very small, modest one though, but I like it. Well, leaving Flaunden behind, we're coming off of the little country road. I find myself on the Chiltern Way now. That's another long distance footpath, and it's leading into another wood. And that was a nice little wood to walk through. And now we've come to a junction of footpaths. Not only do we have the Chiltern Way, but we've got the Hertfordshire Way long distance footpath as well. I've been on this before in one of my walks. So I couldn't go through this gate, but I have clambered around it instead. We are on a public footpath. However, OS maps for some reason do not show this on their online maps. I'm on another long straight field path heading south now. It's been a rather straightforward walk. A lot of the paths have been very linear, heading through the woods and fields. It's been quite difficult to get lost as there's not many turning off points. There's not a whole lot to really see on this walk, but it's just been nice to be out in the countryside and discovering this little area of the country beyond the end of the Metropolitan line. I really have walked across a lot of fields on today's walk. It's a great view looking back into the territory I was just walking in. Come across a cedar tree that was planted on the Queen's coronation back in 1953. It's grown a lot since then. I'm passing through Chipperfield now, which is probably the most notable location on today's walk. It's the largest of the villages which I will be passing. Like Ley Hill, there is a common, which I will be passing through in a moment, but unlike Ley Hill, there is no village sign or beacon, but there is a war memorial over there, which is very nice. And this is Chipperfield Common. I like big open woodlands like this, and I seem to have come across some old burial mounds from the late Neolithic period to the late Bronze Age. Can't quite tell that there's anything really here. Throughout the passage of time, they've kind of been reclaimed by nature. We're on to what might be the longest stretch of fields on this walk. One long path heading all the way east towards Kings Langley. And it's almost inevitable on walks like this to come across a huge main road that destroys the tranquility of the area you're in. Let's get over this as quick as possible and back into the fields. So not only has this walk been a lot of fields and woods, but commons as well, as this is Kings Langley's here. Even though it pretty much is just a wood, it also has a cricket green, which the other places have had too. I'm really liking this kind of artwork style map here of Kings Langley, even though it's a little bit difficult to figure out exactly where you are because it's kind of flipped. It's not facing north as you expect maps to be. Emerging from the woods on the opposite side, I've come across the old village pound and well, where stray animals would be captured until returned to their owners. The Grand Union Canal passes through Kings Langley, and considering it's my favourite canal, I thought I'd take a little walk along it. This is only a very short section of the canal which I'll be walking though, just up to the next bridge, but I have done this section in full before from Watford to Berkhamsted. That's technically another walk beyond the end of the Metropolitan line, just another branch of it. Well, I'm on to the final leg of the walk and I'm passing by a beautiful Art Deco building that belonged to Ovaltine, because I think now it might be apartments. It's great that they've managed to reuse this old building. I was thinking about walking more along the high street or the canal in Kings Langley, but when I did some research I discovered that this building existed and thought, yes, I'd like to go and have a look at that, and I'm glad I did. So to answer the question, what happens when you walk east out of Chesham? Well, eventually you'll hit the West Coast Main Line. In fact, I'm here at Kings Langley Station, which is one stop outside of the Oyster Fare Zone, so I have had to buy a ticket to get back in towards London. However, that means I also get to tick off another station which I haven't been to before. And at the southern end of the station lies the M25, the orbital road around London, so you can see just how close to the border we actually are here. This has to be, without a doubt, the closest station to the M25, right? I also not seen one of these trains in service before. Well, that was a very pretty and peaceful walk from Chesham over to Kings Langley. Thank you for joining me. Subscribe so you don't miss another adventure in the future.
The next stop will be Watford Junction.
Who flattened all that then?